hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Hello and welcome in to Sim Racers Group F3 tonight here at lovely Brazelton, Georgia, Road Atlanta Raceway. I am your host, Charles Boshell, sitting in for JR Gregory in the hot seat tonight. JR on vacation, should be back in the very near future. JR, enjoy that. Also on board, we've got Kane Lasky joining me in the booth tonight. Josh Wilkie running our board, as he is wont to do, as Mike Braun is over running the race for the cause, the race for MS, having himself a good time. Was watching that a little bit earlier, and we're here at, once again, Road Atlanta, 13 turn, 2.5 mile, 4 kilometer course. Very, very fast racetrack, and these F3 cars are going to be really setting up some great lap times. Kane, I'm looking forward to a good race tonight. This is a really good car track combination here with the F3s at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, this should be a really exciting race. I would say this is one of the most demanding car track combos that you could put together, and I expect to see a lot of mistakes tonight. So it's going to be really interesting to see who put their practice in.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be one of those races where we might see some more of that tire deg that we've seen over the course of the season with those rear tires just kind of giving up about 5 minutes earlier than they need to. And but we'll keep an eye out, and we getting settled in here as we're in practice, finishing up practice, get ready for qualifying. While the drivers are trying to get everything adjusted, let's go ahead and take a look at our championship points for the season, and we'll bring those up. And as soon as Mr. Wilkie here gets our screen up, there we go. We've got Stephen Case leading, having a great run. Basically, it's just been completely dominant for the second half of this so far. 282 points. Skylar Vicroy making things a little difficult for old Steven up there at the front. Had a great run last week, just missed out on getting that first win of the season, but sitting there in second place, 247 points. Kalen Mikovits running in third. Jason Green settled into fourth, and Chris Eggert running in fifth, as we've got a little bit of glitch there with Kalen in there twice. We're going to give him the higher position, even though it does show us at 219. So then we'll follow on down with Danush Praborji, Alex Velasco, Daniel Labivi, Josh Corwin, and Lloyd Conway rounding out your top 10. And it's still pretty tight battle there from about third down to, I'd say, about eighth, as the points are really, really tight in that group. And it's going to be one of those races that I don't know that this is an outlier. I think this is a pretty well-known track for these drivers. As we're let's get the championship standings. Completely forgot about the team standings there. They got Case and K Racing, 380 points. Who is SRG6 sitting in second place, 322. Vibes Based Racing in third, 316. Avovoom Gaming Racing Team, I believe that is Mr. Vicroy's team, sitting in fourth. The Green Posada, Jason Green, and Diego Posada in fifth. Eagles in sixth. Team Eggtran seventh. Dad Tax Racing in eighth. Team TC is off in ninth. And Team Bali Brashear sitting there in 10th. And now we'll continue to talk about this. This is, once again, this is a pretty well-known track. It gets ran in lots of different series from open wheel to multi-class IMSA-style racing. So no, it's probably not going to be much of a surprise to the drivers on the cornering and things like that, but maybe just trying to get this car around the track, as we talked about so far, might be a little more difficult than they came to realize there, Kane.
Yeah, I mean, Road Atlanta in general is a very difficult, advanced level track as far as demanding driving skills are concerned, and it's a type of place where most of the time your mistakes are gonna end you either around or actually in the wall. And to really be fast around here, you have to attack the track. And we're going to have several key corners of the race where I expect to see trouble. Right here, you can see on the screen, the first one is going to be this turn 2 here. This is key to getting a good lap time there. And then as you run down the hill here, getting ready, move through the S's. This turn right here is really key and really difficult to be consistent lap by lap, and it's also a turn you could throw your race away. And then the coming onto the back straight is this tight right-hander here is also another turn where you really need to keep your corner speed as high as you can through there, and if you don't, you're going to burn up your rear tire. So like those three corners I think are going to mark our race. And this car was very difficult to actually be consistent lap to lap. It has an immense amount of mechanical and aero grip, and you have to be super precise. So I expect to see a little bit of trouble from people today.
Yep, I think you're absolutely right, and you did point out a couple of trouble spots that we'll take a little bit closer look at here very soon. But let's go ahead and get our keys to tonight's race, and this is what I came up with as just from my little bit of knowledge here at Road Atlanta. We got two very long draft straights, the front straight, and of course that massive long back straight. but then you've got the difficult corners at the end of those straights, and it's going to make life a little tough to try and take that speed and turn it into a fast lap time. Curbs are going to be very challenging tonight. You're going to want to take as much of some of those curbs as you can, especially through some of those corners you mentioned. But that's a high risk, high reward type deal there. And if you take them the wrong way, or if you just overdo it, you're going to end up hurting yourself in the long run. And then finally, patience is going to gain you positions. I agree that there's a lot of places that can be attacked here, but you want to do it at the right time. You don't want to push your luck, and patience may play a bigger role in this than the aggression. Is you just may be able to get a better result by just playing the patient card and not pushing your luck too much. So we're going to finish up here with our practice session, and then once we get rolled over to qualified here with about 2.5 minutes left in practice, we see that just a little bit too much there of that chicane curb, and you talked about it just a minute ago, Kane. It's a blind corner. You're coming over the apex of the hill. And as soon as you get up there, you've got to try to get yourself, it's almost muscle memory. You almost have to know the line as you're coming over, because you're not going to be able to see anything. And you've got to take that curve very precisely there. We're going to get another look at another car attempting this. You see him getting wide, coming into 2, and then that sharp turn to 3. Nice job there. Cut it just enough, rode that inside curve, and carried the speed through. And as we're talking about the S's here, rolls into turn 5, and you're right, this is very, very dangerous. It's a dangerous curve, dangerous corner in any car, but I think even more so when these open wheels, as light as they are, they just kind of bounce over that outside curb, and will end up potentially causing problems. And here's turn 7, as we talked about as well. Turn 7, obviously very dangerous. You want to try and get that line as best you can. You want to get a good run out of 7 to make a good run down the back straight, as we're seeing Jason Green coming down through 7 or into 7 now. You see a car on the inside there, and you want, like I said, you want to get a good run through there, because it's going to set you up for this run down the back straight, using the draft of the cars in front. Pick up as much time as you can, and set yourself up for a good braking zone and entry into turn 10A and B. So with a minute left, we've got Danush Poborji up on the lead of the practice session, 114.7. Stephen Case sitting back there 2.5 tenths behind. Jason Green in 3rd as we're riding along with him. Daniel Obivian in 4th, Skylar Vicroy in 5th, only 600 for a second separating those. So still pretty tight at the top, even in practice, as the cars are getting settled down and the drivers are starting to get set in for a race and setting up for qualifying. It looks like this is going to be a pretty good one. There's some really good lap times up at the top of the board.
Yeah, just like you said, Charles, you could see up here how close the lap times are. We have the top 10 covered by just under a second, and most of the group is just covered by a half a second, from Jason Green all the way back to Joshua Corwin in 11th. But what I think is going to be key is it's very difficult to put those fast laps in lap after lap here. There's just so many places to make a mistake. So doing that same lap time for, I think the race is going to be about 24 laps tonight, is going to be the most difficult part.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're exactly right. And we've seen it basically the entire season. We've had a couple of drivers, Adam Thompson early, Stephen Case as of late, that's kind of been really dominant and just kind of run away with a few of these races. But you're starting to see with the likes of Vic Roy and Jason Green and a couple other drivers up there. It's the cream is starting to rise to the top, and these lap times are getting tighter and tighter, and the racing is getting tighter and tighter during the event as well. As we're getting qualifying started, open practice or open qualifying session, all the cars can be on the track at the same time. 15 minutes. Obviously, you want to get a clean lap in. The draft will play a role in this. It could set you up to put you up near the front of the grid, or it could end up messing you up as you get behind a slower car and maybe hold you up a little bit. You have to kind of reset. So we're going to get the cars out on track, and then we're going to do a ride along with Jason Green as he comes down to the he's coming to the back straight now, and we'll catch him. Yep. So we'll pick him up here. And Kane, if you want to do the honors, we'll let you do the turn by turn guide here. As he coming out of turn B, 10B now, over the hill through 11, and then into 12.
Yeah, coming down over the hill, basically onto the front straightaway here. Coming into super fast, super difficult turn 1. Getting on the gas as early as you can. Don't touch that curb on the outside. Trying to keep it tight here. Cross that curb. Oh, as you see, basically Jason didn't get that right. Tires are not up to temp yet. But this is basically the S section here. Very difficult corner. Got to be on the throttle to stabilize the car over the curbs here. Basically down the hill, getting ready to turn into this fast 4th gear, turn 6, up into basically very tight, very important corner, turn 7 here. Probably one of the most difficult corners on the track. Really want to stay away from that curbing if you can. And then down this really long back stretch where you get a little bit of time to catch your breath and think about what you need to do to get ahead of your competitors. And we're going to run down here basically into this really difficult left-right chicane that's kind of flow in, fast out, and then on the gas, full throttle, all the way under the bridge, down the hill, and that's a lap of Road Atlanta in the F3 car.
There you go. Thank you very much, Kane. Yeah, good lap by Jason, and that was a 117.81, which is going to set him up in P3. Daniel will be up there with a 116.68 as these lap times start coming in. We saw 114.7 during practice. I expect to see that number somewhere up there near the top of the board when we get through, as we're looking down. Case with the fastest final sector. Paborgi now sets the fastest lap of the race, I believe. Yes, he does, 116.1. So he had 3 fast sectors there. As we're starting to get everybody ramping up now. We've got pretty much every car that's set up is out on the track getting their laps in as we're on board. What was that?
These guys are really going to have to start thinking about the championship, Charles.
Yep,
because,
absolutely.
Stephen Case is he's got a pretty good gap up in front, and Skylar Vicroy has another little bit of a gap over 3rd place, but from 3rd all the way back to 9th, these guys are in a tight pack, and the schedule these next few weeks is really tricky tracks. We have Road Atlanta tonight and Suzuka next week, and those are places where it's really easy to make a mistake, and then after that we're going to go to tight and fearsome Laguna Seca. So I think for people who really want to get a good finish, top 5 in the championship or shooting at the podium, these next 3 rounds are about consistency.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, there's I'm sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry, Josh. Okay, no worries. Okay, so yes, so Stephen K setting the fastest lap, 115.58. The lap times are still coming down as cars are getting the tires up to temp, getting in the groove. The drivers are starting to get the rhythm, as you can see them working their way through 5 there. It's we talked about you talked about the upcoming races. I want to say next week at Suzuka, probably one of my most favorite tracks in the F3 car. I used to drive F3 a lot, and I could tell you the 2 that I always look forward to, and I don't know why, because I was never really good at those tracks with anything else, was Sebring and Suzuka. So it's always, oh, there we go, and there's what you see with what happens when you don't take that curb correctly coming out of 5. You just basically lose the car, put it in the wall. You have to reset and back around. That's Paborgi. Oh, there's a car sitting there on the outside of the pit exit lane there had to make another little dip to get clear there, as had a car. Could not see who that was that had stopped, but that's not where you want to park. You can't park there, sir. It's you just can't do it. It's just the wrong place to be doing stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a Code Brown moment there for Paborgi as he was coming out of the pits, and so he'll. I don't think he made any contact, so he should be able to just get those tires back up to temp and get another flying lap in. As we're 6 minutes gone in the qualifying session. As you can see, the cars people start to work the draft a little bit. Vic Roy here got him a nice draft partner right up in front. It just, I don't know if that's going to hurt him. It's a little bit tight there. Kind of made up too much time on the car in front as they were coming through 10A and B. But it looks like he's got settled back down, and he's going to get, a little bit off on that final one, but he still manages to get up to P2 with one purple sector there, sector 3. From that draft that he was getting down the back stretch. So it did put him up into P2, 115.666, puts him 200ths of a second above Paborgi. As you can see the lap times now with Stephen Case setting another fast lap, 115.48, 0.2 of a second over Vic Roy, and the gap down to looking to 13th position. It gets you within that 1 second zone. So you've already got 13 cars within a second, which I think is the highest we've seen this season so far.
Yeah, these cars should get faster and faster as we go along, all the way down to the last lap. Charles would probably be the fastest lap of the session.
Yeah, very, very possible as the cars burn fuel off, and the tires do hold their own pretty well, especially if you're coming in mid part of the qualifying session to get a fresh set and keep your same fuel load. Then you should be able to set a pretty quick lap here toward the end of qualifying. As we're at the 8-minute mark here, we're still seeing fast laps being set. Lloyd Conway up to P3 with a 115.52. As we have this car coming out of the track, the 347 car, Justin Snyder, as he's getting his lap, a little blink there as he's working his way around 7. So he'll get his first run down the back stretch and is going to pull over to the side, let the other car through. That is the 22 car going by, and that is Ganesh, Atul Ganesh, sitting in P12. So yeah, it's been really interesting to watch the progression of some of the drivers at the back half of the grid, how they're just basically been improved week in and week out, and it's just become a much tighter battle, especially in the mid pack. We do have a few more challengers up near the front, but that mid pack battle has been pretty mighty for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mentioned it 2 weeks ago when I shared the broadcast with you. I'm mighty impressed. This car is very difficult to drive. It's a beautiful car. It has a good balance of power to weight and also aero and mechanical grip, but it has a lot of grip. On the iRacing service, it's saying that this car, when I did laps today, 42 Newton meters of force at the wheel. Wow. 42. So basically this car has an immense amount of grip, and it brakes so well, and to actually carry the amount of speed that you need to correctly in the corners to use all of the grip is very challenging. And so I'm impressed with everybody in the league here, how well they've been able to manage this car, because this is not an easy car to drive by any means. And actually, I take that back. In some ways, this car is a pleasure to drive. It's quite easy to drive. It's very difficult to drive very fast and on the limit.
Exactly. Yeah, I was about to say, as you were saying that, I was like, yeah, it's easy to drive at when you're about 80% of the maximum pace of the car, but to get that last 20% or so out of it is a difficult proposition. As we see, Jason Green has jumped up to the top of the qualifying ladder with a 115.425. He's jumped up by about 600% over Stephen Case. So we've got a new pole sitter here with about 4.5 minutes left in qualifying. And we're still seeing purple sectors being set out there. Dinesh Pamorji sets a purple sector in sector 1 And we're almost 11 minutes into this as we're riding on board with Green, and now we're going to switch over to Boshell as he's working his way through 2 and 3, and that's going to be an off track. That lap was not going to count. That was too much of that inside curve there at the chicane. So he will just ride this around and get ready for the next attempt. And just looking down as we're going to look down further down the list, and yeah, we're down to 14 cars within that 1 second, and just a couple of cars right outside of it. So it's once again the mid-pack drivers are really starting to apply the pressure to the front runners, and that battle pack is getting bigger and bigger every week as we're seeing more and more guys that are getting really comfortable with these cars and able to put some good laps in. So coming up here with about a little over 3 minutes left, going to ride here with Jason Cotcher, the captain, as he's working his way around, sitting there in P14, having himself a good run as he's working his way through turn down the front straight out of the final corner. Going to look down and carry his speed through turn 1. Just a little nibble there, that inside. It's about just where you want it. He's a little further over to the left there for 2 and the 3. Could have opened that up just a little bit more. We work our way down through the S's. We jump over here and then we'll work our way through turn 5. Good line through there. That's about how you want to do it. That's the right way through there. You carry a little bit, carry as much of that curb as you can, but you want to not really jump over it all the way. As we're getting a little wide there through 6, before into 7, and we're gonna bump it in the wall, and that's going to be a reset back to the pits. So obviously, the curbs will give you some advantage, but you have to treat them nicely. Otherwise, they will not treat you nicely in return.
Charles, you always come up with some of these great keys to the race, and you nail it all the time. Like I think you must spend hours on the track, driving the track before the race weekend. But for sure, your second one, mind the curbs, is going to be very important here. I would say there's very few curbs here that are going to give you any advantage. Maybe, coming out of the last corner, you can get onto the curb, but these cars really don't like the curbs, and generally you want to try to keep yourself as tight as possible, and curbs definitely can get you in trouble, as we saw there with Kate, where you could get the car up and around. So I'm interested to see who decides to use some of the curbs tonight, because in our practice that I did, I was avoiding all the curbs.
Yeah, as we're getting here toward the end of qualifying, we'll have a little special feature here. We're going to bring in some photos from the SRG lab, as we've got some pictures of some of our drivers. They're out there and getting their practice in. Some great photos here. Just a nice. These are some really nice rigs. Just to be fair, that's the the F1 style seating. You got your feet up almost at your heart level. Then you see the whole rack of them running down the wall. So you've got, I think there's 10 rigs set up in there. So, and then I think he said another PC or 2. And you've got some coaching going on in the background there. So, yeah, just a fantastic layout out there in East San Jose, California. I believe it's where it is. Just got great place. We did this. And I won't mention the name because it's from a different studio that Josh and I worked on, but it's something very similar, and it's always been just fascinating that we've got these places like this where you can just go out and get together with a bunch of people that you enjoy and have some fun racing together. So that's going to be. I'd love to drive out there, but 2,200 miles is probably not something I want to attempt for their little in-house party and barbecue that they've got working. So it's would love to try that, as I think we're wrapping up qualifying here, and Stephen Case did manage to get back up onto the pole, surpassing Jason Green. As Jason's coming around, is he going to be able to get this lap in? Is this going to be a faster lap for him? Does not look like it. Does not look like he's on pace there, so he's not going to be able to improve. He did not. So Stephen Case with a 115.224 is going to be your pole sitter again for tonight. As we're on board here with Aful Ganesh, working his way through the S's. I think he's already don't think this lap is going to count, but we'll kind of ride along as qualifying extended, or qualifying overtime, as I like to call it, is going on here. And there might be a couple other cars. I'm kind of looking. Velasco may be out there on a hot lap, but I think that's probably going to be the only one. I think, like I said, I think Ganesh did not make it. He did not. He's already pulling over to the side to reset back to the pits. So see if Velasco manages to get anything there as he's coming around for the final time. Does not look like he's on a fast lap either. 1:15, that's going to be his time. And we had, actually, if you look at it, it's kind of crazy. Case, Green, Conway, Vicroy, Poborgi, your top five. Velasco, Mikovits, dead heat tie for P6 at exactly down to the millisecond, 1:15.746. You got De Silva there in 8th, Lopez in 9th, and Lubivi in 10th, and that gap is a 10th of a second between those 5 cars. So that just shows you how tight the battle is going to be tonight.
Yeah, great qualifying session from these guys. Just a second covered up 12 guys there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we'll roll over here as the race session has started up, and let's get our starting grid. It doesn't seem to want to come up. All right, well, we're hearing that we're having a technical issue with the starting grid, so let's just pull up the qualifying results and we'll use that. We'll give that list as well as we're getting the cars gridding up, and so we'll give you the. That's okay. I can use the timing tower, and we'll say there we go. Stephen Case, Jason Green, your front row. Conway and Vicroy, row 2. Poborgi, Velasco, row 3. Mikovits, De Silva in row 4. Adrian Lopez, Daniel Lobivi rounds out your top 10. Justice Snyder in 11th. Josh Corbin in 12th. Ganesh and Cotcher, row 7. Christopher Wang, Adam Duvall, row 8. Dan Swanbeck, Thomas Brashear, row 9. As we roll through, there we go. Rafael Cardenas in 19th and Aaron Van Wagner in 20th. Rounding out the rest of the grid, Colt Ron Dillon in 21st. Igor Grunsky in 22nd. Diego Posada in 23rd. Neil Day in 24th. And there we go. There's your starting lineup for tonight. 24 cars on the grid, which is pretty standard for an F3 race. And we're going to, as their cars are getting set up, still waiting on 1 or 2 to grid. I think we're waiting on 2 to grid. We'll wait for them, and once they either get gridded up or the timer kicks down to 0, we'll get the lights off and we'll get ready to start racing. Obviously, start's going to be pretty critical, especially when you've got cars that are around the corner and coming downhill. So you want to make sure you get a good start. We don't need any tire spins. We want to get everybody off the line. And there we go, off the line, and away we go as we take down the front. And we've got Case up to the front. And we got a battle on the outside by Green. Does not like he's going to be able to do that. He's going to start file in there into P2. Some 2 wide battles. We do have a car off the track there, but managed to get back on safely as we work our way down into 2 and 3 for the first time out of 3. Coming down into the S's. Case it's starting to stretch that gap just a bit as we get some side-by-side racing there through the S's. They need to get that cleaned up pretty quickly, and they managed to do so. And we'll get our first run through turn 5, and we'll see if we have anybody that misses this. But so far, so good. I think Brashear is off the track coming through 5, has fallen down to the back of the back of the field as they work their way down the front straight for the first time. Oh, Poborgi spun. And that's going to hurt him. He's going to drop all the way back as he waits for the rest of the field to come through. And that's going to reset him. He'll drop to the back of the field. He's going to have a tough battle to make up a lot of this time. Dropped 18 positions already. So he's going to have his work cut out for him as they're working their way through 10A and B.
You could have put that 4th on your list, Charles. Be careful on the cold tires.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, that's almost a contact. Oh, that's the 14 car. That is Chris Wang. Could not see who the other car was. There it is. He's rolling off, and they're both headed to the pits now.
Poborgi again?
Yeah, it's Poborgi. Looks like Aaron Van Wagner is the other car that got caught up in that. We'll get the replay here coming through 10A and B. We've got Wang on the outside, gets into the grass off the outside curb, and loops the car around, and then Van Wagner, no place for him to go. I don't even know if he saw it until he was hit by it. So yep, there it is. And yeah, he had no time to react to that. Slams into the concrete barrier there for the walkover. And so there'll be 2 cars in the pits and another car, Brashear, Paborgi back down the back. And so now we'll take a ride along and see if everybody gets settled down.
Yeah, riding along here with Velasco, you can see the front end of the field basically got away well, and everybody's just settling into basically a straight line and getting their tires up to temp before they start pushing the limits too much. As we see a little battle here between Velasco and looks like Corwin side by side.
Yep, coming through 12, still side by side. No contact there, but very close. Whoa. Great shot here, Josh. That's a great view looking up at that battle as they're working their way through turn 1. Still side by side as they're battling down through turn 1, up the hill, coming into 2. And Velasco, there was a little bit of contact there. I saw some wheel contact between Velasco and Corwin. And Velasco manages to get through, I believe. He does indeed. Moves up to P8 in front of Corwin, who's running in 9th. Justin Snyder just behind in 10th. And that has allowed the cars in front of them to kind of get a bit of a gap. Velasco is now almost 3 seconds off of Blue Bivy, who is running in 7th position. So these guys they're going to need to get settled down and get back in line for a couple of laps if they're going to move up any further than they currently are. As we see a car go by there, I think that might have been Corwin again, a little wide coming out of 7 into the grass. He's going to have some company on the outside with Justin Snyder, and now looking to make it 3 wide. No, not quite, but we do have a battle move to the inside there. That's Lopez moving to the inside. Corwin says, you know what, I need to calm down just a bit. Let me let these guys go, and let me reset myself, and we'll see if we can challenge them again. We have another battle here between Conway and the 76 car, Kalen Mikovich, running down the front straight side by side.
Yeah, that was a good move by Conway. Basically just let him by. As you saw with that battle between Cotcher and Velasco, like how much time they lost to the leaders if you go side by side. As we see Grunsky basically looks like he got into this.
Oh no, and we had a spin there. That's the 1 car. That's Thomas Brashear. Yeah, that's it just was a reaction. He saw Grunsky moving there and sideways on the track and had to react and end up spinning the car himself. As we see the contact there between Grunsky and that car on the outside, could not tell who that was. Might have been Neil Day around that area. It's not really sure, but did see the contact made there. Grunsky. Yeah, it's a very, very treacherous move there to back across into the racing line. Managed to get away with it. Only 1 car, no contact, but did have a car spin because of it.
As now we're back up front here, riding on the back end of Mikowitz, looking back at De Silva and Conway behind them. These guys are just getting into their pace now. The front guys running 15s and the mid-packer in the 16s here. And right about now is where they
too much curb there through the chicane from Mikovits. You see him have to just catch the rear of that car, and you saw the other cars behind De Silva say, I've got a chance here with Lloyd Conway also in tow, and the 69 car out there of Daniel Abibbi. So nice little mid-pack battle here. The back half of the top 10, these cars running nose to tail and looking to see if they can make some moves here. But yeah, they're starting to lose the gap up to that front 3 as Case Green and Vic Roy have basically just kind of checked out. 6-second gap back to Mikovits in 4th, and Vic Roy not settling for
looking up the inside of Green.
Yeah, looking up the inside. 10A and B. Green manages to hang on to it, keeps that position for the time being, but Vic Roy obviously hungry to get up there. But this little battle has cost them some time. 1.3 seconds now, the gap up to Case in 1st. So Viceroy needs to get this pass done. If he's going to get it done and get going and get out of the way and let Green just kind of settle behind. And they finally managed to get the swap done. So Viceroy takes over second, Green in third, a little wide there coming through 2 and 3. It's going to cost him a little bit of time, as we'll did hear that we've lost Cardenas as well. Rafael Cardenas has had an incident here coming through 10A and B, and that looks like the same little deal there. Yep, a little on the outside there, 10B, loops the car around, and that's just the nature of this track. That is one of those trouble spots that you have to keep an eye on. And we saw a couple of cars already fall victim to the dirt on the outside of the curb. As we're back on board here with Viceroy, that gap now 2.4 seconds to Case. Case, I think, saw the battle behind us, says I need to hit some hot laps here really quick and get my gap out. So it's going to make it tough for those guys to play catch up. He's got the draft broken. So now it's going to be up to Green. Oh, so I think there's a problem with Viceroy. He's dropped down to P3. So what happened to Viceroy? Let's see if we can get a replay of that.
Yeah. Viceroy must have really felt like he had the pace to catch up to Case, because he really forced the move on Green there.
Same thing. Yep, same thing. The gravel, the dirt outside of 10B, and you see him did a great job of catching that car, but he took him a minute to get it all caught up, and you see him, just manages to keep it off of there and gets the car righted, but took him a full corner to get it done, but he got it done, lost the position to Green, and now that gap's really ballooned up to Case. Case is probably just loving life up there. He can kind of settle in and just run some good, clean, consistent laps, not really stress his tires too much. And so now it's going to be tough for Green to do any battling. He's going to have to just really hit quality lap after quality lap to even attempt to make up that time to Case. And Viceroy, the same thing. He's going to have to really run some hot laps as well to see if he can make the time up. And there you got Mikovic is now kind of pulled back into this battle a little bit with Viceroy falling back. He's managed to get his gap out over to Silva, Labivi, and Conway. So he's managed to stretch his gap out and can take a firm control of P4. And so now it's going to see if he can get a run and get back up to third, as we're on board here with Adam Duvall currently running 13th. Got a nice little battle there between Corwin, Cotcher, Paborgi, and Duvall. Nice little four-car pack in the midfield, just trying to run some laps and see if anybody's making a mistake like Lloyd Conway just did. And there's Labivi around as well. Wow, what happened to those two? We were just talking about them. And there's another contact. That's Corwin contact as he came through, and it looks like Labivi maybe with not a great rejoin. Let's see if we can get a replay of that as well. We do have Labivi now with the meatball flag, so we're going to be on board with Labivi. So they're working their way through the chicane, turn 3. Too much of that curve on the inside, jumps it, loses the rear of the car, spins it around, and let's see from Corwin's view. Yeah, that's not great, but manages to. I'm not sure if I saw that kind of a desync there on his front end, so I'm not sure if he took contact or if that was netcode, but he is still rolling. Labivi obviously maybe did take some damage as he is now with the meatball flag. He's got to come in and serve that, get the car repaired. That's going to obviously cost him probably 30 to 35 seconds of time to come down pit road. We haven't talked about pit entry because we weren't expecting pit stops to be made, but should they have to come down, it's a very, very, very tricky pit entry here at Road Atlanta, as well as a pit exit. So yeah, you can see the contact there as the car jumped up. So that's probably some suspension damage for Paborgi. And so he's going to have to come in. I'm sorry, Labivi, check that. He has to come in and get repaired within 3 laps, or he'll be disqualified. So we'll get back on board here with Corwin. Still has Cotcher and Paborgi in tow behind him. Lopez has kind of jumped up to the battle with Velasco, running in 7th and 8th. And then there's a big gap between the top 6 cars. All of them are over a second and a half between all 6. So no real battles up front. This is our biggest battle on the track so far.
Yeah, this is kind of what I expected to see tonight, Charles. This track is kind of like a T-Rex monster. It will eat you up and you out, and at the slightest mistake, and all your mistakes usually cost you, and it's really a track to respect,
Mhm.
and also to stay in line, because
Yep.
as we've seen, you lose a lot of time whenever you go side by side. So I think for Vicroy, I don't know him, but he's probably got a little bit of the red mist working, because he set that up himself. Like, he wanted to make that move on Jason. Jason was holding pretty close behind Steven. He was definitely within draft range,
Mhm.
and he must have felt like he had the pace to finally take it to Case today, and he needed to make up in the championship. So I bet you that was his strategy, and now he's back in third place, but he was a half a second faster than Stephen Case on the last lap. So he just needs to settle down. The best he's probably going to be able to get today is a P2. And I think that's got to be his focus right now. And we'll see what JG has. If he actually has the pace to catch up the Case. He also, if he wants any chance at the championship, he really needs to push tonight. Try to get as many points as he can, as we see Borgi going side by side here.
Yep, Borgi making the pass on Corwin, brings him up to P9, and that's a good recovery drive by Borgi. He's back up to P9 after falling almost all the way to the back of the field. So he's done a really good job of avoiding incidents and running some really strong lap times. And it's brought him back up inside the top 10. Oh, as we see Corwin there, and that's the outside curb. You mentioned it in your lap track or lap guide. That outside curb in turn one does not do you any favors, as we'll get on board here with Corwin. You see him just carrying a bit wide, and you see the curb just wants to just unsettle the car, and that's what it did. But good job by Corwin to hang on to it. Did lose a position there, so he's dropped down to P11. Cotcher makes the move around. So this is still an ongoing battle, as these cars have not really separated themselves from each other. So we'll continue to keep an eye on the battle here with Justin Snyder and Dan Swanbeck running in 13th and 14th, a little bit further down the field, but you see a nice little draft as they're coming down. Snyder getting the good run behind Swanbeck as he's going to try and make a move. Swanbeck moves over. He's going to try and go defensive to the inside. Going to try and prevent that move on the outside, but Snyder able to take it and break a little bit later on the outside with the preferred line, makes the pass and gets past Swanbeck to pick up P13. So good move by Snyder there to get out. Maybe Swanbeck, as we see a gap forming, maybe decide not to set that battle up for right now. Maybe trying to save a little bit of his stuff for a little bit later in the race. He's not really pushing too hard to try and keep Snyder in his grip, but he's still out there racing, and we've got another car behind him, and I think that may be a lap down car. I don't see that on the timing screen there, so it may be a lap down car already. Maybe either Ganesh or Posada, one of those two, as they're working their way down the back, the short straight here between 5 and 6. We move up to Cotcher, who is now on the back straight, heading down into 10A. Having a good run up to P10. So Jason doing a good job tonight. We talked to him earlier in the season. He said, he coaches a lot for the F4, not so much for the F3, because he's always wanting to improve himself, because he's wanting to compete a little bit. Oh, and you can see that 10B catching him out a little bit as it loses the rear. 15 minutes into this race, so might start seeing some of that rear tire neg coming into play here as we get a little further on into the last 10 minutes of this race, as Corwin works his way down through turn 1. He is trailing Stephen Case there. Stephen Case coming out of turn 7 and heading down with that 4.5 second gap over Green. The gap back from Green to Vicroy, 2.4. So Vicroy not really making a lot of inroads into that gap to Green. And likewise, Green not really making a lot of inroads into the gap to Case.
Yeah, Jason looked like he just put it on cruise control. He's a very consistent driver, and he probably realized that he didn't have the pace to catch Case. So he's just settled down into his rhythm now, and I imagine he's watching his relative screen back to Vicroy. And Vicroy's been pretty much the fastest person on the track, except Poborgi's been putting in some really good laps as well. And as you mentioned, Charles, what a great recovery from all the way in the back up into ninth. And he's probably looking at getting maybe Velasco at the end of this race.
Yeah, it is very possible. And let's go back to our
Put in another fastest lap of the race, 15.1 for Georgie.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's really setting the standard here as we're back to our gaps. I was just kind of noticing Mikovits is starting to close that gap down on Vicroy a bit. Maybe maybe Vicroy's tires have given up a little bit more since he's had a little bit of struggles through a couple of corners, and Mikovits is now kind of in that just at the edge of that draft range for these F3 cars, 1 second back. The other closest battle is Corwin, only 3/10 behind Cotcher, sitting in there in 10th and 11th. Those are your two tightest battles on the track as we're sitting now. So let's keep an eye on this and see if we're going to get a run from Corwin down the back stretch here as we're riding on board. As Cotcher moves over, trying to break the draft, running the snake down the back stretch. And not going to work, so he's going to move defensively, and we've seen this before. Corwin should be able to have a good chance to outbreak him into 10A and hold it up for 10B. Gets through, manages to hang on to the rear of the car again, but managed to get the pass done. Cotcher trying to fight back on the outside, not going to have the run. Maybe he can get a little bit of draft down the front stretch here and see if he can get the run up the hill, but nope, he decides to just kind of back off a little bit and kind of just watch and wait, as it were, to see how Corwin handles the chicane. So far, so good. So Corwin having himself a little bit better run for the last couple of laps, and Cotcher not able to do anything with him for the time being, as we now have Duval coming into this battle as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on him, as Mikovits has dropped back just a couple of tenths back from Vicroy, 1.2 seconds to gap. So we'll see if he can find a spot to maybe make up a tenth or two, get back in that draft range, and see if he can tighten that battle up, as we're 6 minutes left in the race. And we're riding along here with Adam Duval as he's working his way, and we're hearing there's not been a crash. We're going to get a replay here. This is Colquhoun Dillon. That is turn 2 and 3. That's the escape road. Also another, it's also used as a little chicane for maybe the club layout. Just too much speed coming through there, and just loses the rear of the car. Kind of an odd situation. Maybe just got behind on his braking and turning there on the entry to that chicane, and loses the rear trying to correct. And manages to keep it off the wall though, so he's able to get back out on the track. Having a rough day though, down in P22. For Dillon, lap down already with about 5 minutes left in this race, as we're back with the group here. This is Lopez and Poborgi making that run, and just what you said, Kane, he's made up that gap to Lopez, and he's going to be looking to take over P8 here in short order.
Yeah, he's fine. Our producer's telling us that Levivi just crashed, and he's picking a toe to the pit.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get a replay of that, as Poborgi's making the run down the outside. This seems to be the best line down here. The defensive line not seem to be working very much with these F3 cars, and I think it's just because of the draft you get before the cars. Oh, and then Poborgi loses it in the grass again, 10B. Just managed to catch it back up, but now he's lost all that. He's lost 4 seconds to Lopez, so now he's going to have all that work to do to try and get back up there again. So, tough break for Poborgi. Had a couple of incidents. Here's our incident involving Levivi, and that is coming through. Yep, that was coming through 10A and B as well, and we've seen that several times. And he just says, "I think I'm just going to tow this back to the pits, and we'll call it a day a little bit early."
Yeah, you could see from the timing tower, Charles, how difficult it is to keep those lap times. We saw in practice and qualifying, everybody was lined up, pretty close within a second.
What was that?
Was that Cochran Dillon again?
That was Justin Snyder. I did not see the car that was out there, but I do see Brashear and Dylan did have a meatball. Brashear already had a meatball, but I think that was Dylan that was that. I think he had made a mistake a little bit earlier, but Justin Snyder's car is just absolutely wrecked, and that is coming down. That was coming through. Let's see here. Yep, through 5. Yeah, and you can see Dylan just sideways, and that is the racing line. And just nowhere for Snyder to go. The other cars managed to escape to the inside. Snyder could not, and that is race done. As you see, yeah, I mean that is the line you're supposed to take through 5, but you're not supposed to have a car sideways in front of you. So that's a tough break for Snyder, who's having a good day, and you can just see Dylan just a little bit too much over the curb, bounces through. And is he gonna? Oh, I think he started moving too as well. And that did not help matters at all. So it was a good run for Snyder, as the producer was saying. He had a good run going, was kind of fighting up toward the top 10, and just not to be, unfortunately, not of his doing. So tough night. That'd be tough pill to swallow as Brashear. We see him coming back out of the pits to finish off his race. We're on board here. There's still this 3-car battle: Corwin, Cotcher, and Duval. Duval has managed to close that gap up. He's going to get the benefit of a dual draft here coming down the back stretch, as Corwin's going to move to the inside and try and take that defensive line. And Cotcher's just going to do a good job of I think Cotcher's decided, you know what, I think I'm in a good spot. I'm not going to really push it too hard. Decides to lay back, not go on the attack. And he's going to stay in P11. Corbin's going to stay in P10. Duval is still there, though, and he's going to have an opportunity to make that move, as we're on board here with Cardenas, and that is a very broken car in front of him. That may be Snyder's car, or Swanbeck? Not Swanbeck's car. So Swanbeck came out of the pits and has really damaged his car significantly, as now we do see Justin Snyder coming back out onto the track, as we see Brashear over off the line here, and that's the cutover for the short course. And yeah, so he's just riding around, just trying to click off laps and staying out of everybody's way wise. As he's we saw the replay there, as we're going to get another view of that coming through 7, and just loops the car around and into the inside wall there, coming out of turn 7. And then back to live, and we've got Stephen Case still leading. Vickroy is now caught up to Green, so we've got a battle for P2 here. Vickroy has pulled some magic out of the hat and is now caught up to the back of Green, and is going to be battling there as they get through the lap traffic, as they're working their way down through the S's coming into turn 5. And you see Vickroy sawing at that wheel, trying to hang on to the roof, as they're still coming up on a few more lap cars. That's the 44 car Posada, Jason Green's teammate, ironically enough, in the team championship, as they're working their way down the back stretch. And this should be, is this the last lap? This may be the last lap. So yep, it will be. So we're at the 25-minute mark. Race officially time is done. So when they cross the start-finish line, this will be it. So this is Vickroy's move to take P2. He works his way to the outside. That is the preferred line. He's going to make the run around. Green's going to try and stay tough on the inside. Cannot hang on to that position. And here's Stephen Case coming around to take the victory once again. And Vickroy, once again, is going to end up finishing in P2. Green with a P3. Mikovits with a P4. Managed to do a good job of catching that gap up, as we got Conway battling here with, is that that's Velasco? Side by side. Oh, photo finish there. 9 milliseconds between Velasco and Conway. Velasco getting P6. De Silva does finish in P5. And we got Poborgia again, and that's that turn 10B coming up into the turned into 11. And looks like he had the concrete barrier again. So we had to get a replay of that, but manages to get across the start finish line in P9. So does have a pretty decent recovery, but it took a lot, and it's going to cost the team a lot of money to fix that car to get back up to finish in P9.
Was amazing. He made it down the hill and across the finish line without the rear wing. I thought he was going to spin, but he held it together for sure.
Absolutely. We're going to replay here. Poborji coming his way to the inside of turn 10A, and then, just too much speed, and then contact with the 007 car, and that removes the rear of the car, the rear case, or rear wing, rear cover. So you got the exposed engine, and he does manage to get through turn 12 successfully without the rear wing assisting, but very tough way to end with that wreck there at the very end. And I think we're going to get a new tradition here, as we've got our top 3 podium setters are going to line up for a little photo op here at the start finish line. As they come back around, you see Stephen Case has already made his way up there and has parked, and then we got Viceroy coming in for P2, and there's Green finishing in P3. So there's your nice photo of your podium sitters for tonight. Great job, great race, Stephen Case again. Managing his gap as he needed. Viceroy Green put on a really good race, and unfortunately, just mistakes caught most of those guys out, and it was easy for Case to win from the front. And so really great race there, Kane, all the way around. Obviously some difficulties amongst some of the cars, but kind of what you expect for a race at Road Atlanta.
It basically was just like we talked about, a lot of mistakes tonight, but not from the guys up front. I think maybe Viceroy and Mikowitz feel a little bad. They probably were hoping to get some points on Case. He's definitely got a good lead in the championship tonight. But good drive by most of the top guys for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was another good race up the front. And once again, the mid pack battle did not disappoint tonight. Some great battling amongst there, and of course, obviously with some of our less experienced competitors, the struggles that from the track that is Road Atlanta. As you see the donuts being made. Can I get a cup of coffee to go with those donuts, please? Thank you very much.
Beautiful donuts there.
Yeah, very well held.
Nice. Yeah, Case must feel pretty good about himself. He's been driving really well.
Yeah, he has. So let's get a look at our final race results. We'll run down the finishing order, and then we've got some guys waiting for interviews. So Stephen Case taking that's the quality results. Race results don't look a lot different. Stephen Case takes the win. Skylar Viceroy finishing in second. Jason Green rounding off your podium in third. Excuse me there. Sorry, Caleb Mikovits in fourth. De Silva in fifth. Velasco sixth. Lloyd Conway in seventh. Adrian Lopez at 8th, Danush Poborji in 9th, Josh Corwin rounds out your top 10, Jason Cotcher 11th, Adam Duvall 12th, Igor Grunsky in 13th, Rafael Cardenas in 14th, Dan Swanbeck finishes in 15th, Neil Day in 16th, and Athul Ganesh in 17th, Justin Snyder in 18th, Thomas Brashear at 19th, Diego Posada in 20th, Daniel Bivy 21st, Colquhoun Dillon finishes in 22nd. Chris Wang finishing in 23rd, and Aaron Van Wagner finishing in 24th. And that is your race results for tonight's race. And we do have a couple of drivers sitting in the interview waiting area. So, Kane, I'm going to bring in Skylar Viceroy, and I'm going to let you do the interview so I can get my throat cleared successfully here. And we'll drag him down, and you can interview our P2 finisher.
I had such a mix of emotions on that stream. I was sad.
Skylar, how are you tonight?
Good.
Yeah, great job. Great recovery, and you ran some of the fastest laps of the race for a while. Were you really upset? It seemed like you wanted to get by Jason Green because you felt like you might have had the pace to catch up to Steven, and then you made just a slight mistake and had to fight back up to the front and finally ended up with a P2. How was the race from your end?
Oh, getting the start was crucial. I just, during practice, I wasn't really settling in. I think I was overdriving the car and cooking the tires and could not get the car to settle down whatsoever. Getting a solid start around the outside of Lloyd there and being able with Jason and Steven was really key. When I made the move on Jason, I was telling myself, okay, is it worth it now? Because if we start battling, Case is gone. And that's what happened. But the unfortunate thing is then Jason made a mistake behind me, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to start to pull away. Then I immediately make a mistake coming under the bridge and cough that up. But then we decided to just calm down, relax, and let the race come to me. I really didn't think I was going to catch Jason. That was a little bit of luck, I think, with some traffic. And then he pulled back, got in his draft, and then his tires were definitely a little bit more hurt than mine. I saw him sliding around a bit. So those calm laps definitely helped with the tire preservation on this very hot track.
Did you find the Road Atlanta track? It's basically, I called it a T-Rex of a track. It'll spit you up and eat you up in a moment. Did you have a lot of challenges being consistent here? And do you like this track in general?
Like the track, very challenging. The corners are very difficult. They're hard to get a read on some of the blind corners that you have here. The curbs can be vicious in spots. Tire wear is always an issue here, no matter what class you're in, just because of the heavy load you put in some of these corners and the heavy acceleration points that you need to get on the back straight. You really, really have to be patient, and it feels like you're going super slow, but you just really have to do that. So dealing with the heat here is not ideal, but if everyone's in the same boat, you got to make the best of it.
Next week, moving on to Suzuka. Is it a track that you like?
It's a track that I like. I'm not sure how well I'm going to do there. I struggle with the S's a bit, but to be honest, I've never taken the F3 around there in anger. So we'll see how that goes. I've got a few test laps threaded for some shakedown photos, but it's completely up in the air. I'm going to put my practice in, that's for sure. Lovely track.
Yeah, great job tonight. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or give a shout out before we let you go, Skylar?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give a shout out to, of course, the Slow Motion Broadcast team. Always go back and watch these at the end. They're a lot of fun. You guys do a great job with the production. I want to thank SRG and Jason, especially for putting this whole thing together. Been having a lot of fun this season. I'm looking forward to the next as well and the last few races that we have here. Want to shout out to my boys, Dan and Cam. They've been keeping me entertained in my stream that I have here. And of course, Scott and Dave out in Michigan. They're always giving support. So thank you everyone for tuning into the show. And like I always finish off the last 4 weeks in a row, I'll come back next week and try to get one place higher on the podium.
Yeah, well, we look forward to that, Skylar, and have a great week, and we'll see you next week at Suzuka.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
And that was Skylar Vicroy, our P2 finisher tonight, as he says, coming back again next week to try and get one more step on the podium. He's had a couple of good runs and just hasn't been able to quite finish it off yet, but you obviously see the improvement in Skylar's racing over the course of the season. So now we're going to bring in Josh Corwin, our P10 finisher, and we'll bring him down, and I'll get the interview going here. So, Josh, hey, congratulations on a P10. Looked like you had a little bit of struggle out there, but I think you managed to get it all figured out and ended up with a position P10 overall, so top 10 finish and up a couple of positions from where you started.
Yeah, I'm content with the top 10. Wish I'd be closer to the front. P6 or P6, 7, 8. Me and Velasco got into it in the first 3 laps, and he drifted a bit wide into turn 2 and damaged my front wing. So from that point on, no speed through 1, no speed through 2, slow on the straights, and I ended up relegating back to 10th, 11th. But I had a fun time dancing with my old nemesis, Jason Cotcher, for the whole race. So fun all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Did see that battle with Jason there in the latter half of the race. But yeah, I think we had a pretty good run. We did catch you a couple of times with maybe I think 10 A and B, maybe caught a few guys out tonight just from just trying to get the car righted. But you said you had some front wing damage, probably caused some understeering woes for you, that you couldn't quite get the car set the way you wanted to through some of those corners.
Absolutely. It was definitely took adapting on the fly, and it wasn't towards the end of the race that I start getting closer to my pace. And by that time the damage was done, and just had to try and stay ahead of Jason.
Yep. So next week we'll be at Suzuka. Have you managed to run the car
Not the F3,
right.
but I've ran the F4. I've done it in lots of other video games, so I know the track. Now it's just adapting and trying to go as fast as humanly possible.
There you go. All right, Josh. Well, congratulations on your top 10, and we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs, and we'll let you go and prepare for next week's battle.
Absolutely. Jason Cotcher and Tyler Hagan and everyone down at SRG, you guys and the booth at SMB, making us feel like amateur professionals, and all my friends and family watching at home. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Joshua, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
That was Josh Corwin, P10 finisher, and we make him feel like an amateur professional because we are amateur professionals in our own right. So it's obvious. That's pretty obvious as to how we can make that work. So Kane, next week, Suzuka. Once again, one of my favorite car track combinations, the F3 at Suzuka. It's just absolutely so much fun. It is obviously a very difficult track. Some very famous corners that will catch you out in a hurry. But I'm really looking forward to it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we'll see if these guys basically take a lesson from tonight. I think we saw 10 people that didn't finish on the lead lap in the last week. Everybody's been finishing, pretty close to each other. So the track really bared its teeth this week, and I think Suzuka is even more fearsome of a track, and it's the same type of track where any mistake that you make is going to cost you over 0.3 of a second, and often it could spin you around and put you off the track and into the barrier. So I think it's going to be a great race next week, and maybe a little bit more spread out. Just like this track, you really can't get away from not having the right pace. So we'll see who puts their practice in, and after next week we should get a really good indicator of what's going to happen with the rest of the championship.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the championship battle is coming into focus, at least it seems to me. But this is we're done for tonight, but we're not done for. We got a lot more action on tap for slow motion broadcasting here, as we will end up with some more racing action this weekend. Obviously, with the Weekend Warriors sitting there, the Formula V's on Saturday, the Formula Ford's Spec Racer Ford doubleheader on Sunday. We've got the XMS IndyCar Series getting ready to ramp up, coming back to us on Thursday night. Obviously, the American Muscle Series and the F4 Sim Racers Group on Tuesdays. So action all week long, anytime you want it. It's live, and it's also obviously recorded for your viewing pleasure at any time of the day, whenever you just want to sit down and watch some really good racing. So for Josh Wilkie, doing a great job in the production booth, as always, for Kane Lasky for coming in and sitting in, doing a great job in the broadcast. I am Charles Boshell. We will see you again next week here, same bat time, same bat channel, for the Sim Racers Group F3 Series from Suzuka. We'll have our good buddy, good old JR back, and we should have some good racing action. So we'll see you next week or wherever you are, and we'll see you again at the track.